Welcome back, everybody. Today we're here to talk about The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 17, and the opening minutes for the episode. Really great opening minutes. It's really what we've all been waiting for, Negan and Maggie meeting, and that's what we're seeing here. And I gotta tell you, like, watching the opening minutes, just, I don't know, it put me in a good feeling because it's been so long since we've had The Walking Dead. I know we had that finale, but other than that, it's been like almost a year if you think about it. So it's been a long time, and I'm really excited to talk about the opening minutes. Obviously, if you're a fan of the show, be sure to hit the subscribe button. With the show returning, we're going to be having reviews and breakdowns and all that kind of stuff as usual. So obviously, like a general spoiler warning in case you aren't caught up, but let's get into it. So it starts off with Maggie. And we have her here killing a walker. Now I gotta say, this walker does not look very walkerish. It kind of looks like a whisper up this close, and I don't think it's a whisper. I mean, I don't think so because they don't even really talk about it. She just kills the walker and then moves on. But if you kind of think about it, the actors in the show who play the walkers or I guess like essentially whispers in a way, if that makes sense. They're people pretending to be walkers. So maybe this was just like a close-up on somebody who's playing a walker and it just looked a little too real. I don't know, I could be wrong. Imagine this was a whisper and she just took out the whisper that quickly. But I'm sorry, I just had to bring this up because it does not look that good. But that's okay. It's okay. Let's move on. So she kills this walker. So it's great seeing Maggie, obviously. We haven't seen her. We saw her in the finale, but, not much of her. So it's going to be really cool seeing her in this episode. Then we see Judith. So her and Judith are spending some time together, which is really cool. And remember, Maggie's actually the one who was there when Lori gave birth to Judith. So that's kind of cool to think about, that she was there and she helped out with that birth. And then now she's here, walking in the woods with Judith. That's kind of crazy to think about, but also really cool. But basically Judith and her are having a conversation. Judith says, "I could have got that walker." And Maggie says, "You are your mother's daughter." And Judith says, "My dad's too." So I think it's really awesome whenever they bring up, stuff like that, older characters. Obviously in that exchange, they're talking about Michonne and Rick. And I love that, I love that they bring that up. And that's something that we are always looking forward to, to see what's going to happen, with Rick and Michonne and Judith. And they even go on to talk about Michonne. Maggie says, "What'd you tell RJ?" And Judith says, "Well, I took him to the roof. The sky was full of stars, and I told him right now Mom is looking at the very same stars as us." And I thought that was a great line because, first of all, it really shows how good of a sister Judith is, and it also shows her bravery, and how she's taking care of RJ, and she's definitely having those characteristics of someone like, kind of reminds me a little bit of Carl, like someone who was growing up pretty quickly in the zombie apocalypse and did a lot of things on their own and became a great fighter and stuff like that. So she definitely is taking after her parents, and she's reminding me of like the Grimes legacy. Even though she may not be a Grimes by blood, she is carrying on that legacy, I think, which is great. But anyways, continuing on, Maggie then says, "I said the same thing to Herschel, even thought it myself about all of you, because it's true. She's out there under the same sky." And Judith says she is. So I wonder if Judith told Maggie. I mean, I'm assuming she did. I mean, everyone knows Maggie is gone, but I'm wondering if she told Maggie all the details, right? Like about finding Rick's boots and all that kind of stuff. That's something I'm really interested in. I know we only have one more season after this, but we do have spin-offs and stuff like that. So all that kind of stuff can come into play. But I'm just wondering how they're going to do it. Are people going to find out, about Rick on the show next season? Or are they going to save that for future spin-offs and the Rick movies? We'll see, but that was a big thing when Michonne found Rick's boots. And I think if other characters figure that out, especially characters like Daryl and Maggie, because those are characters who are closest to Rick right now on the show, but also those two were characters who were having issues with Rick in season 9 before he left. So they didn't really end up on the best terms. So because of that, and because of how long and good their relationships are, those are like characters who I am interested in seeing what's gonna happen to, like after the show ends. Will they reunite with Rick in the movies? I hope they do. You guys let me know what you think. Next, they approach the road, and we can see that they have a carriage here that's getting carried by walkers. So I think they're just like out traveling to the other community. That's what they usually do with the horses and carriages. We can see Nabila and Lydia, and Lydia says they should do it, and then they just continue on. And then we hear a voice behind the carriage, and it's actually Negan's voice, and he says, "Y'all be safe." And it's like a heart-dropping moment for Maggie, because she's like, "What?" And the horses, take his stuff away, and we have the reveal of Negan. So this is really awesome. I'm not sure why Negan isn't going with them. He's kind of on his own, just in the woods. And I think this is the first time they are meeting. Or maybe he wanted to stay back, actually, if you think about it. He probably wanted to stay back and talk to Maggie. That makes sense. But yeah, this is like the first time they're meeting. And you can see the anger in Maggie's eyes, in the shock. That's real good performance by Lauren Cohan. She's not even really saying anything, but you can see everything she's feeling. And I don't even think, she doesn't really say anything in the scene at all. Negan says, "Hey, Maggie," and he says, "I didn't escape, if that's what you're thinking." So yeah, this is like the first scene they have together. And yeah, Negan, this is something dangerous for Negan to do, because if this is the first time he's approaching her and he's saying like this, "I didn't escape," if that's what you're thinking, Maggie could have just done something right here and kill him if she really wanted to. So that is something risky that Negan did for sure, to stay back. But then again, Judith is there, so maybe he knew that Maggie wouldn't do anything in front of Judith. But I also think Judith is a really important character in this moment, because she was the one that Negan saved. And, she spent a lot of time talking to Negan, and I think she might vouch for him. I think she might say, like, he's changed. But yeah, they kind of just stare at each other for a moment, and then Maggie just, like, walks off. And Negan is just, like, standing there upset. And Judith is just sort of spectating the whole thing. But you can tell from Judith's face that she is a little bit, it is something upsetting to see. Because on one hand, you feel for Maggie because of what Negan did. Like, how can you forgive that, right? Like, you got to think about that. Like, it's kind of impossible to forgive what Negan did. Like, he did something horrible to Maggie. And then on the other hand, Judith wasn't really there. She was a lot younger. And, she spent a lot of time with Negan, and Negan was really nice to her. So, you can tell that, she's conflicted here, I think. And I think for fans also, it's going to be something weird, because Maggie's been gone for a long time. We spent all this time with Negan. They kind of give him like a redemption arc. But, when you step back for a moment and think about it, like, it really, like, it's hard for me to see Negan and Maggie ever being okay. Like, I've always said this in my videos, like, the best case I see it happening is, like, they just deal with each other, but they're not, like, they just, like, they may live in the same community, but they don't really talk to each other. They're not really friends. They might go on the same missions, but different groups, stuff like that. Like, unless Negan really goes up to Maggie and apologizes, which is something that I would be interested in seeing. You guys let me know what you think about that. Other than that, it's hard for me to see Maggie ever really forgiving Negan. But these two are going to have a lot of tension this season. And I like how they're setting it up in the first episode, because it's going to go on throughout the rest of the season. And then in the finale, the Here's Negan episode, is where, things, I think, escalate to the point where Negan has to leave. And Carol's also going to be playing a big part in this, because she's the one who let Negan out. I think I'm also interested in seeing, she obviously didn't say anything to Negan, but she'll talk to other people about how she feels. Negan will probably be in the cell, I think, in the meantime, while they figure out what to do. And then I think because Carol was the one who took him out, I think she's going to be the one who takes him on that journey where he spends some time by himself. But as far as like the rest of the show, like into season 11, like I said, like I don't think they'll be, friends or anything like that, but they just might have to put up with each other and deal with the Commonwealth. You guys let me know what you think. But I'm really excited that we have Maggie back on the show. And this looks like a really interesting arc for both of their characters. So I can't wait to see it play out throughout the season. Those were the opening minutes we got. Really cool stuff. I'm very excited. Let me know what you think in the comments down below about the opening minutes. And let me know what you think about the whole Negan and Maggie situation. But yeah, that was the opening minutes. I'm going to wrap it up there. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, be sure to leave a like rating. Again, be sure to subscribe if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, because we have a lot of Walking Dead content coming up. But other than that, as always, thanks for watching. Please take care, and I'll see you guys soon.